When Nathan Hayes walked into the factory at first light, no one recognized him. This time, there was no suit, just a gray work jumpsuit, an old cap on his head. Years of experience on his face, but a fresh curiosity in his eyes. As he passed the security gate, the guard nodded. "First day?" Nathan smiled. "Nathan, new shift worker. You're lucky," the guard said. "No inspections today. Joe won't bother you." Joe. Nathan had seen that name in dozens of complaint reports. But this time, he wasn't just here to read. He came to see it for himself. Inside the factory, the heat was stifling. The smell of grease, the hum of metal, the silence of sweaty workers. Nathan positioned himself at the far end of the production line. He didn't speak. He just watched. Then came a shout. "If that conveyor stops again, I'm docking your pay, Alex!" Nathan turned toward the voice. His eyes found the kid, quiet, pale-skinned, focused, worn-out gloves on his hands, carefully adjusting the machinery. He clearly cared about the job, but no one even looked at him. "Does that kid work like this every day?" Nathan whispered to the guy next to him. "Him? Works like he sleeps here. But don't talk to him. Joe hates it." Nathan nodded. Another name added to memory. Alex. Factory output had been down for months. But what Nathan saw that day wasn't production falling, it was people. And he thought to himself, sometimes you don't find the real problem from the boardroom. You find it on the floor. On the second day, Nathan was assigned to the middle of the production line. The work was heavy, lifting, welding, aligning metal sheets. But his mind kept drifting to one person, Alex. Since the crack of dawn, the young man hadn't stopped moving. But it wasn't just his speed that stood out. It was his focus. He reacted to the slightest sound from inside the machine. Fixed small oil leaks before anyone noticed. Even adjusted parts that were slightly misaligned. Silently, precisely. Nathan squinted, watching closely. "This kid, he's not average," he thought. "These aren't the moves of a laborer. That's an engineer's eye." Just then, Joe stormed over. Same scowl, same tone. "Let's go, let's go. No time for sightseeing. Alex, you installed that bolt backward again? You're stacking up warnings, kid. Watch it." Without lifting his head, Alex replied softly, "It's not backward. That position puts less strain on the line." Joe laughed. "Well, look at that. The factory professor speaks. You're gonna wear a lab coat someday, huh?" Nathan clenched his jaw, but stayed quiet, still just observing. During the second break, Alex slipped away to a quiet corner. He opened a worn notebook. Nathan caught a glimpse from a distance. Hand-drawn diagrams, circuit sketches, alternate system layouts. Nathan's breath caught. That was no factory worker's notebook. In that moment, he knew. This kid isn't a laborer. He's an unseen engineer. But with people like Joe running the floor, kids like Alex would always be left in the shadows. Day 3. Nathan showed up early again. But this time, he wasn't just here to observe. He started working right beside Alex. He acted like he was giving it his all, but deliberately made a few small mistakes. When he used the wrong bolt, Alex politely pointed it out. "That's a 6mm screw. It'll be loose in an 8mm hole." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "Good catch." Alex just nodded, keeping his head down. Nathan pressed gently. "How do you know this stuff?" "At home, I tinker. Just little things, on my own." Just then, a shadow loomed over them. Joe. Well, Do we have a little engineering school going on over here? Or are you two rookies redesigning my factory?" Nathan just smiled. Alex's expression turned blank again. "Actually," Nathan said, "Alex came up with some ideas to boost machine efficiency. He's even got sketches. Thought you might want to take a look." Joe barked a laugh. "His sketches? This isn't an art class. It's a production line. You don't get ahead here with brains, just biceps." Suddenly, one of the machines let out a jolt and came to a stop. A sharp vibration rocked the line. Alex jumped into action, hit the emergency stop. The inner components had shifted out of alignment. While everyone else just stared, Alex dropped down, opened the machine, and had it recalibrated in under 3 minutes. Then, calm as ever, he explained, "If we install this model at a 5-degree angle, the load on the pulleys drops by 8%. That error won't happen again." Nathan was stunned. Joe, on the other hand, exploded. "I don't know where your head's at, kid, but if you start giving orders around here, you're out." And at that moment, Nathan made up his mind. He wasn't going to just file a report. He was going to take action. The next morning, the factory kicked off like any other routine day. Workers headed to their stations. Joe started yelling like usual. Machines roared to life. But during lunch break, Nathan walked up to the executive floor. He put on his blazer, splashed cold water on his face, and came back down. In his hand, an ID badge. Etched in gold letters, Nathan Hayes, CEO, Operations Division. As he walked down the hallway, a few workers started squinting, confused. But the truth hit later that afternoon during a short, unexpected meeting. Alex was called into the manager's office. When he saw Nathan in a suit, he froze. "Alex, I never told you my full name," Nathan said, "but now's the time. I'm the CEO, and for the past 3 days, I've been working by your side." Alex's hands trembled. I had no idea, sir." "That was the point. I wanted the truth, unfiltered. And what I've seen, it's worse than I thought." Then, Joe was called in. Nathan stepped behind the desk, stood tall, and spoke with calm authority. "I've got news for you too, Joe. As of today, you're relieved of your duties." Joe's face turned bright red. "What? Because of a few suggestions? That kid?" "No," Nathan cut in firmly. "That kid offered a solution that could save this factory's future. You, on the other hand, you've been suffocating it for years." Alex's eyes welled up, but for the first time, he didn't look down. He looked someone in the eye. The silence in the factory that day felt different. Joe's sudden departure spread like wildfire, but no one dared talk about it out loud. That afternoon, Alex returned to the production line. This time, his head was held higher, but inside, he was still overwhelmed. Nathan appeared beside him. "Walk with me?" he asked gently. Alex nodded and quietly followed. They walked side by side past the machines. No one really noticed them over the constant hum of the line. Nathan pulled a folded paper from his pocket. It looked worn, but carefully kept. "This is one of your designs," he said. "Remember it?" Alex gave a shy nod. Nathan continued. "This morning, I showed it to our engineering team. To be honest, they were blown away. This is college-level analysis, and you built it all from practical instinct." Alex's hands trembled. "I just wanted to fix a few things." Nathan stopped, looked him in the eyes. "You didn't just fix them. You made them better. And now I have an offer for you." Alex's eyes widened. We're launching a new innovation program to recognize technical ideas from the floor. And you're its first member. Me? Yes, and there's more. Nathan pulled out a small box from his jacket. Inside was a simple badge. Technical Assistant, Development Unit. Alex's eyes filled with tears. Someone like me? Someone like you means someone who keeps thinking, even when it's hard. And that's worth more than any degree. And for the first time, Alex smiled. That evening, there was a new energy on the floor. People started noticing Alex. The guy no one used to look at was now standing out among them. But for Alex, the biggest change was this. He didn't feel alone anymore. Nathan was beside him. And that was the first step in a brand new beginning. 3 months had passed. The morning shift at the factory was starting again. But this time, the energy felt completely different. New safety signs lined the walls. LED lights glowed with energy-efficient warmth. And most importantly, the loud yelling? Gone. Joe was no longer there. And the changes Nathan had set in motion had reached every corner of the building. But the biggest shift was happening inside a single room. This small but powerful space was dedicated to testing ideas submitted by the workers themselves. And at the heart of it, wearing a white lab coat, was Alex. Focused, calm, and in control, he was no longer just a line worker. He was now a creator. There was a knock at the door. Nathan stepped in. "How's it going, Mr. Engineer?" he said with a grin. Alex smiled shyly, scratching his head. "Not quite an engineer yet, but I want to show you something." He placed a small device on the table, a simple vibration sensor, but it had been perfectly calibrated to detect machine failure before it actually happened. Nathan leaned in. This could cut down time by 10% and boost safety too. Alex nodded. "So far, we've integrated it into 2 lines. The early data looks really good." Nathan took a deep breath. "You know, Alex, sometimes saving a factory doesn't take millions of dollars or fancy consultants. Sometimes it just takes listening to a quiet voice inside the building." Alex looked emotional, but this time he didn't look down. "I'm still learning, sir." Nathan pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. "This is for a part-time scholarship program. If you want to study engineering, we'll adjust your hours to fit." Alex's hand trembled as he reached for the folder. "Is this real?" Nathan smiled. "A mind like yours doesn't just belong on a factory floor. It belongs in the plans for the future." That day, they held a small celebration in the back lot. Alex stood in front of the team, now the new employee representative. His voice was soft, but his words were clear. "This factory didn't just give me a job. It gave me a life. But more importantly, it gave me a pair of eyes that truly saw me. And now, I'll turn mine toward others. Because I know there's still talent here, waiting to shine." In the back of the crowd, Nathan stood quietly, 1 step removed. His eyes were misty, but he said nothing, because his work was done. The story began with the silent footsteps of a CEO, but it ended with the open heart of a worker. And this factory? It no longer just produced machines, it produced dreams.
If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Subscribe for more inspiring stories.